Dean Legge, Quentin Grant here, just outside of Georgia's practice facilities, wrapping up the Mark Richt camp. Quentin, let's just get straight into it. Everybody always wants to know, who was the top player here? For your money, who you got?
Without a doubt, it would be Aaron Murray.
Yeah, well, why?
Well, I hadn't had a chance to watch him live and in person, and just watching him, the way he threw the ball, his footwork, everything, the word I've been using all day for him was effortless. He looked like your prototypical. He looked like he could play tomorrow. So there was no question about it for me who my top guy here was. It was Aaron Murray.
Aaron Murray looked outstanding. I've got to say that when I went to see him down there in Tampa, he looked good. You know, it was very windy. It wasn't windy out here today. Man, I tell you what, the kid delivers the ball where it's supposed to be every single time. He was impressive. Let's talk about Zach Mettenberger. Obviously, just because Murray had a great day doesn't mean Mettenberger has a bad day. Where were you with Mettenberger? Oh,
I think we put it on the site that if Aaron Murray wouldn't have been here today, then we'd be talking about Mettenberger right now. Great arm strength. He also has good footwork.
I think the footwork could be a little better. Yeah. I think with Murray, I think the footwork is there. But I think that's easier if you're a 6-foot guy rather than a 6'5" guy.
And Mettenberger's a taller kid, and but again, we're talking about kids who are just now going into their senior years of high school. And for I think at the point they're at right now, I think both of them are the footwork are okay. Murray's footwork's a little bit better.
Let's talk about some of the other guys that were here today. Let's talk about these two kids from Burns, defensive end, defensive tackle, Willis, and the other kid whose name is suddenly Miller. Give me your impression on Willis.
Willis is a large kid with good feet. He's quick. You could see him either playing defensive tackle or defensive end. For my money, I say when he ends up at wherever he ends up, he's going to probably be a defensive tackle. He just has that bigger build, and it seems like he's probably going to be a defensive tackle, but he's quick, good feet, very, very impressive kid.
Okay. Miller?
Miller reminds me a lot, I think I told you earlier, of Cornelius Washington.
Who was there today and looked great.
Who looked like a man-child. Miller is a little bit leaner than Willis. Longer, taller, looks to be probably a defensive end in college, and I just see him being like a Cornelius Washington type clone, a kid that's going to really put on muscle once he gets a little bit older, and he's quick too, good feet, good off the ball, another good player here.
We were talking when we were walking over here about for you, your best group of the day was the defensive ends. There were a lot of guys out there that were winning a lot of battles. Were they good just for the day? Were they good as a group?
I think they were good as a group. I think it was the most talented group, deep group here, top to bottom. A lot of talented defensive ends. You made a good point. It's also one of the more athletic positions, but I think for my money, it was a very, very talented group here today. And also now you got to take those drills are geared towards the defense. You know, not so much the offense as far as the offensive line versus the defensive lineman drills.
Tell me about Michael Bowman, big long kid from up there in Northwest Georgia. Where were you with him?
First time I really got to see him, impressed. I thought he was the best wide receiver here today. Not sure how relative that is because
it was not loaded at wide receiver today.
It was not a very, very overly talented group at wide receiver. He was clearly he's tall, he's long, he's muscular, he can catch the football. He seems to be the total package of wide receiver.
I was talking with someone who would know today, and they said, you know, you look at him and you can say he can add more weight for sure. His brother did at Oklahoma State. Were there other guys that jumped out at you today? I'm trying to think of other guys. I mean, I think the number one thing was that, man, Aaron Murray really just impressed me a lot. And part of it's not that I've not seen a ton of him. Maybe I've gotten used to Zach Mettenberger. And Zach has a huge arm, and I think Zach has gotten a lot better since last year. But this is my first really long hours of looking at Aaron Murray live. Was he that good, or are we making too big of a deal about it?
No, he's that good. The one thing I think that you got to see today that you probably hate was him and Mettenberger side by side. They threw together warming up.
Okay, you're saying that
7-on-7 too. I mean, one would go and then the other would go. So you got to constantly see.
You were saying, let's just say this. You were saying that Mettenberger's, I mean, you were saying that Murray's arm is comparable to Mettenberger's, but you're not suggesting that it's stronger.
I don't think it's stronger, but I think he's got plenty of arm strength. I think
he's got what he needs.
He's got what he needs, yeah. I don't think there's any doubt there.
Okay, I'm trying to run back through my brain. Were there any other guys that were missing here?
No,
a lot of young guys.
A lot of young guys. Burns High School really brought up an impressive group.
Lattimore. Let's talk about Lattimore for a second.
Running back from Burns, Marcus Lattimore, looked pretty good in the running back drills. Saw getting a lot of love from the Georgia coaches. Got a little love from Coach Richt. A nice little 3 or 4 minute talk, a little pat on the butt. I think there's a kid that's really looking at hard at running back, and I think he likes Georgia too, from what I've heard.
I kind of skipped over the tight ends. Orson Charles. I know you didn't see a lot of him. I watched him a lot today. He is really, for me, he's impressive at that spot.
Yeah, I think you pointed him out. He was one of the more impressive, just looking kids, just looking at him physically. He's another kid that can put on plenty of weight and is going to put on plenty of muscle.
When you saw him, I know George was looking at him as a tight end. Could you see him as a wide receiver? Is he too big for that right now?
You never know. Maybe not. I think he's got room to go either way. He can get a lot bigger or stay closer to his same size and maybe play some wide receiver.
Okay, well, with that, and I'm sure we missed a lot. There were a lot of guys here today. I'm sure we missed a couple. We just wanted to wrap up the day. Quentin Grant, Dean Legge, signing off from the Mark Rook camp here in Athens, Georgia.